Okay, Sonny, this one is mainly aimed at you. Okay, cool. I was so happy you mentioned Pro Evolution Soccer PES the other week. I played that franchise since the early beginnings. Anyway, what do you think PlayStation 5 can do for PES and what PlayStation 4 cannot?
Danny, I've been there, and I understand that when a new generation comes out, we're always worried about what is going to happen to the franchise that we care about. Whether, I mean, look at PS2 to PS3 with Tekken, look at obviously PES from PS2 to PS3. Let's not go there. Um, but I'm really optimistic because there's three fundamental aspects to get your franchise over successfully. The most important thing is the right people in the right places. And I think when it comes to the Pro Evolution Soccer franchise, over the PS4 generation, they've had the right people right from the top and who run the PES studio. Aforementioned at the top of the show, Adam Batty, he's worked on Pro Evolution Soccer for such a
Yeah,
long time now for Konami through the whole PS4 generation, and it's gone leaps and bounds forward. Having the right people in the right places to make the right choices and decisions for a
yeah,
game is key because you can have the best tech in the world, but if you've got the wrong people doing things, shit gets churned out, So that's number one. That is fundamental to the success and confidence of any game, not just PES going forward onto PS5. Number two, you need to get the base right, and that has to be strong. And for PES, it's going Unreal, and that's super important. I mentioned it last week: the right people and the right base. The Unreal Engine will open up a whole lot more into what they can do on the next generation. Whereas the
mhm,
Fox engine, yeah, it was internal, it did great things for PES on PS4, but they're restricted by the engine. At least what we know with Unreal is the amount of updates Epic make to that engine, how that engine will, it'll grow through the generation of PS5, and so will the base of PES because it's using that engine.
yeah,
And again, another thing that's important, this is the third pillar, time.
yeah,
If you do not have you can have the right people in place in the business. You can have the right engine. If you do not have the time, you will rush an incomplete product out. And the one thing we can all say from PS2 to PS3, PES didn't have the time to truly understand, and not a lot of people didn't have the time to really understand Cell and get to grips with the PS3 and get the game out in time. And Konami with PES 6 on Xbox 360, they had to appease that PlayStation audience and get it out for PS3, and it wasn't great. Whereas what they're doing now is again the right people understand they need the time, and they've made a decision to take that time to get it right. That's why we're not getting a PS5 game this
yeah,
year, and it's the right decision because by taking that time, they're going to use that base, which is the engine, they're going to create the things that we need for a PS5 version, the next evolution of PES. Realistic player models. Okay, you don't have a PS5 with the GPU and the CPU and the power at your hands to do an anime football game. You need realism. And the one
yeah.
thing that PS4 PES done really, really, really well was the character models. I mean, Alex, I sent you the teaser of Messi, which was showing what it could potentially look like. It looked amazing, didn't it?
Look good. Look really good. I mean,
And
they got all the imperfections down. I mean, that's perfect. I mean, previous PES games, everything kind of looks symmetrical, but this looks really realistic.
So you've got the Unreal Engine is giving you those realistic player models. More importantly to me is the animations and the physics that are within the game. And PES has always had really great animations. The difference between PES and FIFA is on the surface level, FIFA does good animations, like with key skill moves, celebrations, trademark ways to do things. But PES
Yeah,
does the smaller things as well. The attention to detail from PES in the animation department makes the game look more free flowing and has more fluidity to it. Whereas the Frostbite and FIFA, you see in YouTube videos, it looks and PES has its moments, but when you run them side by side with the same teams, you notice that PES just runs more smoothly and it looks more like a football match, just from a
yeah,
movement standpoint. And what PS5 will allow with the more power again is better animation, way more animations, better physics with the ball, player, interacting with one another and things like that. Two more things. I'll be quick. I told you PES is going to keep me going, right? Uh,
Yeah,
it's not just the player models, though. It's the things around it. You need that photorealism. If there's one criticism I have for PES, it's the intro sequences to a match. The stadiums look amazing, but once you play the match, regardless of what it is, the stadiums don't look great. They look great. They just look the same every year. There's
yeah,
no real massive focus. And again, that comes down to time. There isn't time to focus on things that aren't fundamental, which is gameplay.
yeah,
So I'm hoping with PS5 they create new models and everything because well they have to with Unreal because I think the stadiums just look dated. Once you kick off a match, there's no real feeling and atmosphere in
no,
like there was on the PS2 games. So I'm hoping that changes. And lastly, just reasons to play. PES, the latest PES which is out, which is obviously PES 2020. If you don't play My Club or online, I mean, the Master League was the key to success on PS2. People loved it, but it's not grown, at all from a base level. Yeah, you can add little bits and bobs to it, but it hasn't grown. There's no reason to play PES if you're not playing online. Whereas FIFA have so many different modes. Some of them are rubbish, but there's still options. The ones that
yeah,
one person finds rubbish, someone might find great. And I think the extra time, and Konami, I think they said it in the press statement as well, that they really are focusing on My Club and Master League for PS5, which
oh,
is
good.
great. But when you put this all together, Alex, the one thing PES always gets right, and they understand, is what happens on the pitch when you're playing the game.
Mm,
And the gameplay of PES, the slogan they have is "the pitch is ours." And
yeah,
that is the case. You saw when FIFA came out last year, loads of people were shitting on it. It's the same game. It's just the same. Da, 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 da. And no doubt, the PS5 version will just be a nicer, prettier, smoother running version, but it will still feel the same. Whereas PES owns that pitch, and I think adding everything back to what I said, which was obviously the visuals, the models, the animations, the physics, it will grow that gameplay, and I think you'll see the gap widen even more with Unreal Engine and with the right people. So yeah, Ben, great things for PES coming forward. Like I said, just remember the three pillars: the right people, the right base, which is the Unreal Engine, and the time. And Konami have all three. So if they fuck this up, I will be the first one outside their studios with bricks. But I'm super confident that they'll get it. They'll get it right. As long as the Man United license is, I'm happy.
yeah. They should be able to get that. I mean, with the amount of money that they're going to be pulling in.